Hi guys, I'm back again today with another reaction video, and today we're reacting to are North Africans white, black, or Middle Eastern? Even I don't know. Like I'm from Africa, not the North though, but I don't even know. Sometimes they are Middle Eastern. I feel like they are Middle Eastern. That's what I'm feeling. I don't know. This is gonna educate us, so I'm really excited. Genetics of Egypt, Morocco, Algeria, and more. Well, before we do start, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Click that bell button to get notified whenever I do upload a video. Anyways, guys, let's check this out.
Why is the topic of ethnic and racial identification in the modern countries of the Maghreb and Egypt such a hotly debated topic? Today we're going to
Morocco,
be taking a look
Rabat,
at the
Libya,
historic and modern-day
Tripoli.
genetics of the
I
population
don't
of
know,
North
Libya,
Africa, which regions
Liberia,
influence them, and how the
Libya.
people currently identify. When referring to the region of North Africa, the countries of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, and Egypt are always included, while places like Sudan, Western Sahara, and Mauritania are usually included, and on occasion the northern portions of a few sub-Saharan African countries like Mali, Niger, and Chad are also included from a geographic and cultural perspective. The genetic history of North Africa has certainly fluctuated greatly ever since humans first inhabited the region around 45,000 years ago, with the first humans most likely crossing over from the Arabian Peninsula through modern-day Suez in Egypt. Therefore, the native people of North Africa were most closely related to the Middle Eastern populations of Arabia and the Levant, but created their own gene pool after thousands of years of
So
separation
probably the
and
mixed.
adaptation to their new environment.
Oh,
During
sorry.
the
That was
subsequent waves of
so
migration
bad.
between the Middle
There
East
we
and
go.
North
It's actually true. Like they just mixed the Middle Eastern, or let's say Asia, and then the the bottom part of Africa just came all together up there, and then created the North Africans.
Africa, a common linguistic and ethnic identity between the Arabs and the North African natives, largely known as Berbers, was established,
Berbers.
with modern Berber languages being Afro-Asiatic, loosely related to Arabic, Hebrew, and the Habesha languages of the Horn of Africa. The Sahara Desert has, in the past and modern day, served as an effective barrier between the peoples and fauna of North Africa and the much larger region of sub-Saharan Africa. Although that doesn't mean that there was no contact, as West African DNA is very common in modern North Africans, not only through the slave trade, but through merchants and travelers from places like the Mali or Songhai empires of West Africa. As most people
I'm
know,
from
the
West.
entirety of the Mediterranean region of North Africa was annexed by the Roman Empire from early on, but one thing people might not have expected is that there's actually a tentative connection between modern Maghrebis and Germanic peoples through the ancient group known as the Vandals, who traveled from modern Germany to establish colonies and kingdoms in the Iberian Peninsula and North Africa. Now, seeing how the population of the provinces of the Maghreb in the Roman Empire were around 2 to 3 million
I
at the
didn't
time of
know.
the collapse,
I
and the
only knew
Vandals
like the
invaded and
British,
established a kingdom with
the
around
Germans, huh?
100,000 settlers and soldiers, this would mean that up to 5% of the gene pool of modern Maghrebis could be of Germanic origin, seeing
Oh, it will be nice, especially for me also. It would be nice for like I don't know. For me, I'm just interested to do like the DNA testing just to see which like how many percentage of like African or maybe German or Middle Eastern or Asian does a person have, especially from North Africa. That's gonna be interesting. I really want to do that test as well because I want to know
how the
in
Vandals
depth.
were essentially
Ooh,
completely
I
assimilated
like
into
this
the
video.
future societies. Not only had Germanic peoples settled in and assimilated into the Maghreb, but also Italic peoples from the Italian
So
peninsula
there's gonna be
during Roman
Italian also,
occupation.
German.
These Latin-speaking peoples established their own language
Basically,
and
North
culture in the
Africa is
Maghreb
just like
and actually had the beginnings of a
every
Latin-based
country.
language similar to Spanish or Italian, and the European
So
influence
there's
can greatly be seen in the region, especially places like Tunisia,
so there's
where up to 5 or 10%
basically
of
Europe.
the gene pool is of early Latin origin. Ancient Greece and Egypt have been strongly connected culturally for thousands of years, and although the modern day countries of Greece and Egypt might not have much in common in any major capacity, it's easy to see the relationship between the two from a historic perspective by looking at architecture and place names like Alexandria or Thebes. The Greek presence was especially apparent during antiquity with the rise of Alexander's empire and the Roman Empire, with some places having up to 30% Greek origin and a largely Hellenized culture, but gradually waned over the centuries, with the last major Greek presence in the region being in the early 1900s. Today, around 5% of the Egyptian gene pool is of Greek or ancient Macedonian
Oh,
origin. The
wow.
appearance of ancient Egyptians has been heavily debated by different groups with various agendas, but in the past few thousand years, Egypt had been inhabited by Afro-Asiatic peoples related to Arabs, Berbers, and other Semites, speaking their own language that would be considered mutually unintelligible with modern Egyptian Arabic, and contrary to popular belief, ancient Egyptian hieroglyphs were not exactly an alphabet in the same way that the Latin, Arabic, or Cyrillic scripts were used, but it did evolve into and influence some of the world's earliest writing systems used in the Middle East,
Oh,
such as
okay.
Phoenician. Ancient Egyptian is currently a dead
Oh, that
language, although
looks.
Egypt's
I want
sizable
to learn that. That looks really interesting.
Christian minority, making up 10 to 15% of the population, known as the Copts, use a language known as Coptic in religious
Is it okay to have
ceremonies
like?
for
Oh, I don't know if
liturgical
she's like
reasons,
Islam,
and
but
Coptic is largely believed to be
she has
descended
like
from the
nail polish like
pre-Arabic
me.
Egyptian language. The genetic makeup of the region was greatly altered following the Arab conquest and mass settlement following the expansion of Islam in the 7th and 8th centuries,
Oh, my
with the majority
birthplace,
of native North
Damascus.
African Berber groups, as well as the Germanic Vandals and Italic population either being wiped out or assimilated with the new Middle Eastern Arab population. Today, the majority of North African countries have a population described as Arab Berber, meaning a mix between the
Yeah,
native Berber and Arab population, and this has
I know
certainly
him.
given them a unique look, with places like Tunisia having a dominant Arab culture, with the population having the highest proportion of Arab blood of
Oh,
any country of the Maghreb. Migration was not one
interesting.
way, of course, with the large migration heading to the Arabian Peninsula and the rest of the Middle East, especially in recent years with Egyptian and Maghrebi migrant workers heading to places like Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Kuwait. Now, what's interesting about modern Egyptians and other North Africans today is that depending on the person, they may or may not identify with other ethnic Arabs from places like the Levant, the Arabian Peninsula, even if they are Arab speaking as well. Although the Arab
Oh,
language is actually quite a complicated subject, as Arab speakers from different parts of the Middle East and North
so
Africa.
I've heard. So I've heard because before I thought like it's all the same, it's all Arab. But I have a friend who's Sudanese, and I was like, "Can you read this?" And he's like, "That's not like Sudanese Arabic or something." So he was like, "No, I can't really, but some stuff he understands." So it's really
Might
interesting.
not be able to understand each other, with Egyptian Arabic sort of being an intermediate dialect between that spoken in Arabia and the Maghreb, especially considering that the majority of Arabic language motion pictures are filmed in Egypt. Skin color and facial features are anything but uniform in North Africa, of course, with skin color largely getting darker the further south you look in the region, mostly due to the
Oh,
sub-Saharan African blood and environmental adaptations to the hot, sunny climate. The
interesting.
native people of North Africa are known as Berbers, and as mentioned earlier, there are also an Afro-Asiatic people group
Yeah, because
distinctly
sometimes,
related to.
sometimes I'm even confused. I'm like, I don't know if somebody is from Africa or Middle East or Europe because they're sometimes they look the same or they look alike. So it's really hard to pinpoint where somebody's from based on how they look. But when you talk, sometimes you can know where somebody's from by the accent or by the um, how they speak. So this I love this video. I love this kind of
To
videos.
Arabs, but their
Interesting.
phenotype can vary to include people of all skin colors. Some Berber groups, like the Tuaregs of southern Algeria and northern Mali and Niger, are very dark in appearance, being the most southern group, and other groups, like the Kabyles of northern
Oh,
Algeria,
look at them.
are
They look
very fair,
Europeans. They
with
look
a
like
significant
Russians
proportion
even.
having light eyes or hair, with many even being able to pass for European. There's been a large
Exactly.
effort in recent years, especially in the Maghrebi countries of Morocco and Algeria, to reclaim their native North African Berber identity, and even many of Arab Berber descent are beginning to create a new Maghrebi identity for themselves. One of the more recent events to influence the North African gene pool
What is that?
was the rise of the Ottoman Empire in the 14th century, when ethnic Turks from the Anatolia region migrated in large numbers during the Ottoman occupation in North African countries. And although it's rare to find full-blooded Turks in North Africa, in the Maghreb, up to 20% of the population has at least some Turkish ancestry, and those of half Turkish, half native descent are called Kawugli, who
Oh,
could have both Berber, Arab, and Turkish ancestry.
damn.
There was never
I
any
like the
large
diversity
repatriation
though.
effort for Kaluglis after the fall of the Ottomans, and their descendants largely integrated into the Arab-Berber society. I've talked about Sudan in previous videos, and it's a very tricky situation categorizing their people, since the racial situation of Sudan is anything but homogeneous. The original
True.
people groups of Sudan were
Oh,
actually of
I
Nilo-Saharan
love their
origin,
skin. Why is
mostly.
it so like that's the one thing about Sudanese. Like yes, like they have one of like the darkest, more beautiful, smoothest skin ever. Like that's the thing about Sudanese is like their skin is so freaking pure. And I like every time I meet a Sudanese, I'm just like, they just have, ugh, it's unfair. Look at me
Known
with
as
all
the
these
Nubians,
pimples.
similar to the people of modern South Sudan, and it wasn't until the Islamic Arab
It's
invasion and conquest from the
okay.
north
I
that
can't.
Sudanese
Sorry.
people began to have a more Arab identity.
If you have a
Modern
child for
Sudanese Arabs
adoption,
can have a
please
huge
let me know.
range in phenotype, with some having a more Middle Eastern appearance, while some still retain the majority of their sub-Saharan African genes, although full-blooded natives still do exist in large numbers located in the west and south of the country, which was one of the main reasons that South Sudan decided to break away from the north and
That's the sad part. It's like, yes, we're going through like in the world, we're going through like racism and all that, but it's sad to also have like within your own country or society or like continent, you still have those racial or like cultural, traditional, ethnic kind of racism as well, which is sad. Like as Africa, we should all like merge as one instead of like adding to that racism as well, just because I'm a white African or I'm a darker African or I'm a brown African, like I'm better or I'm worse. It shouldn't be. It should actually like unite us as people instead of it us breaking apart. We're already going through freaking racism in the whole entire world. Why do we have to add within our own race another type of racism? It's sad. It's so freaking like when I hear this, I'm just like, really? Like I don't care if you're light skin or dark skin or whatever. Like we're all human freaking race. Why can't people understand that nobody's better than anybody? At the end of the day, nobody is better than anybody because at the end of the day, we are all gonna die. Okay, we are all gonna die if you like it or not. So nobody's better.
create their own government, surprisingly, with little
Sad.
intervention from the north. The country of Mauritania, on the other end of the continent, is in a very similar position to this, with the majority of its population being Afro-Arabs, albeit with more North African admixture. Perhaps the most recent event to
I'm blind,
influence
so I'm
North
like,
African demography was the European colonization of the region during the scramble for Africa and before. Algeria had been a part of the French Empire since the 1820s and
oh,
was actually one of the most well-integrated colonies of any European power,
I
with the
didn't know
population
that.
largely being bilingual in French and
Oh yeah,
Arabic,
that's why when I
or
react to
French and a
Algerian
Berber
music, it's
language.
like
Ever since
French.
incorporation into France,
Okay.
hundreds of thousands of European settlers began to settle into the
I
region
like
of French
this
North Africa,
history,
which included Algeria, Tunisia,
like
and parts of
educational
Libya and
historical
Morocco. And during the latter half of
stuff.
occupation, French authorities
But I remember I had to memorize all this. Like I don't know what grade you have to be, but I remember maybe like fifth grade or maybe sixth grade. You had to like write the country plus the capital. That's like exams in geography, right? I guess you guys know,
actually allowed a
but I don't
handful of
remember
native North
anymore.
Africans from their colonies to settle in metropolitan France. The European North African population,
European North
known as
African.
Pieds Noirs, eventually numbered in the millions in all of the North African nations, making up around 15% of North Africa at its height. However, following independence of the Maghrebi countries, the European population was almost entirely forced to evacuate all North African countries and headed back to France, and they left a very small genetic imprint on North Africa, seeing how their presence in the region was largely fleeting. Although on occasion a French soldier or official would marry a native woman, and some even converted to Islam, integrating with the native populace. The people of North Africa have been influenced by many, if not all, of the surrounding peoples that encompass them, and because of this, North Africa has one of the most diverse ranges of phenotype of any place in Africa or the Middle East, with its citizens ranging from black to white to Middle Eastern and every combination in between. Again, it's important to realize that North Africans may or may not identify with the Middle East or ethnic Arabs, and that each country has a unique history and are not all universal monoliths. I hope you learned something new about the region of North Africa today. Be sure to let me know your thoughts on the region. And as always,
I already did. No, not really.
Thanks for watching, everyone, and I'll see you next time.
I love it. I'm gonna watch more of this historical stuff, probably per country, so that it's not like broad or anything, so we can learn more about like a specific country, like maybe Morocco, then Egypt the next time, and then Algeria, and then maybe Tunisia, Libya, then we'll go to Sudan, and then we'll go to all the African countries. That would be interesting. I really love this type of educational videos, because we're humans, we don't know everything, and we need to learn about other things that are not closely or maybe not even related to us as well, because like, why be naive and idiotic when you can learn? But anyways, let me know what you guys think. That was really interesting. Let me know in the comment section down below, if you're from North Africa, which country in North Africa are you from, or even if you're not from Africa or any part of Africa, just let me know which country you're from and you're watching this. So anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, leave in the comment section down below what other videos like to react to. The original link of this video will be in the description box down below, so as my social media links. So guys, I'll see you in the next video. Bye.